Welcome back, everybody. You got Will and I Man here from the Block Runner MetaZone, Rovi, and MScribe, and today we're going to be talking about the most interesting token in all of cryptocurrency since the beginning of Bitcoin in 2009. What is it?
Trump coin. No?
No, not quite.
Trump coin's not the most interesting thing ever? No?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. I'm glad.
It's the thing on your shirt. Not on
yeah.
my shirt, on your shirt.
Well, let's hold on 1 second. There it is.
Yeah.
Is there a thing underneath it?
It says you're not ready.
Oh, yeah. Proudly puffing out my chest for that one.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about the NAT token.
Yeah, man. There's some interesting things, right? Well, you said it's the most interesting thing. So I think a statement like that, you're going to have to break down these points of interest for people who are uninformed, right?
Yeah. So
there's a lot of coins out there, just to keep in mind.
I heard.
So you're competing against all 10 million of them, or however many have been introduced since Pumped Out Fund.
Yeah, there's only one token more interesting than NAT, and it's Bitcoin.
Okay. I might even argue,
No, it's definitely more interesting.
I mean, that's pretty interesting in the context of like how it came about.
That's the second most interesting token, right?
I guess.
Right. So
I'm a NAT maxi at this point. So.
All right. So what the hell is NAT, right? So first of all, it stands for non-arbitrary token.
Right.
And it comes from an ecosystem called digital matter theory on Bitcoin. And it produces every single block on Bitcoin. Every 10 minutes, there's new NAT tokens. And about 2 weeks ago, we directed the NAT tokens from being issued and being mintable by anybody to directing it to the miners of Bitcoin.
Correct.
So the question is, well, why would you do that? It's like, doesn't it make sense just to leave it alone and, not do anything? Well, right now, a bunch of notable people in crypto, they went to the Capitol in the United States, and they talked about how cool Bitcoin is, essentially.
Yeah.
And they talked about how America should have a very aggressive stance on acquiring Bitcoin because it's the next, most valuable asset past Earth. After Earth. So you have Earth, the most valuable asset, and then it's Bitcoin.
Wait, what? Yeah. How is Earth the asset? What do you mean?
Well, you want to acquire land as a country, right?
Okay, so that's what they mean. It's the land value, I guess.
Yeah,
it's acquirable. Okay, yeah, I can see that.
And then after the land value, it's Bitcoin. So they're talking about an asset that you essentially buy and hold, right?
Yeah,
store of value, right? It's across the board. Everyone's aligned with that. So as a store of value, there's no transactions happening on Bitcoin. That means there's no transaction fees. That means there's no sustainable business model for the Bitcoin miners.
Yeah.
And therefore, once the Bitcoin subsidy ends, there's no real reason to keep a high hash rate to sustain the business, right?
Yeah. So that's...
So that means that there needs to be a solution. There needs to be something that supplies the Bitcoin miners with a sustainable kind of flow of value.
Right.
And so now we directed the NAT tokens to the miners, and there we are. This is the first time there's a second subsidy on Bitcoin.
Yeah, so literally every block that's being produced, there's a new supply distribution happening to the individual miners within the network. So, at this point, enough NAT has been distributed over the past week or two. It's basically 10 to 20 miners that are scooping up the lion's share.
Yeah, we're gonna see the list here.
Yeah, because we've implemented a nice new little feature to NAT GMI.
Yeah,
but I like this because I've we've been talking a lot about stuff happening on the base ecosystem over the last few days, and specifically this debt relief bot token and how there's kind of an interesting parallel between these two.
There is, yeah,
community tokens in a sense. The debt relief token, it's being or at least the fees of the trading activity happening there is being auto directed to Grok itself, right? And the underlying motivation for that is for Grok AI and potentially even XAI to kind of take notice of that, that distribution of value to that entity, right?
Yeah.
Which theoretically could be used for some good, maybe. There's people out there speaking about how it can somehow contribute to Doge, not Dogecoin, but the government efficiency entity to try and mitigate some of these cost issues happening in government agencies, whatever, right? It's a nice little theoretical narrative.
Yeah.
But it's the mechanism of directing this new revenue stream towards that end.
Yeah.
That is a new novelty, right? Same with NAT. It's we're directing a new subsidy reward to the Bitcoin ecosystem with the underlying motivation of like, let's increase the value of this base asset so it's fulfilling that end game purpose of, securing the network.
Not only that, as more countries start adopting Bitcoin and holding it as a store of value, and the United States government starts acquiring, anywhere between 4 and 5 million Bitcoin, the value starts to increase as a result, and therefore pay off the debt of the United States, kind of like a debt relief program.
Yeah, it's interesting,
right? So, all right, so let's take a look at the first tweet here. It says by iMan, it says, watching NAT proliferate across Bitcoin network is like witnessing Bitcoin being reborn all over again. And so this is a quote tweet from Bitcoin is now part of the U.S. Strategic Reserve. NAT is the second subsidy of Bitcoin. And on this tweet, we have the leaderboard that we're going to show you on NAT GMI, which if you scroll down to this website, you see the actual production of NAT tokens and who is actually winning the blocks and therefore getting, the latest NAT tokens being produced. But if you scroll down, you go past the market cap, and here it is, the mint leaderboard, or the miner leaderboard. And so Foundry with 232 billion tokens after about 2 weeks.
Pretty much smoking everybody, right? Is that in order? Yeah, it is in order.
It is in order. Yeah, and so this is like, I think, the historic Bitcoin rewards.
For like a comparison's sake, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is interesting because like today, in today's environment, Foundry is clearly winning the hash war.
That's right.
But
almost by 2x if you can.
Yeah. So that must mean they like recently entered the ecosystem as opposed to like Ant Pool or what's the other one down there? F2 Pool.
And F2 Pool, yeah.
Yeah, those, and even at the bottom there, what is that? Brains Pool? 800,000 Bitcoin?
Yeah, Brains Pool.
Yeah, these guys must have been around much longer if they've accrued more Bitcoin over time, considering, nowadays they're not, dominating the hash rate. Right?
Yeah, and so this is just a depiction of like their historical earnings on Bitcoin, but this does not mean that they're still holding any of these values.
True. That's a good point.
Yeah, because they got to pay bills, so in occasion they have to sell some Bitcoin to.
Yeah, that's exactly why, theoretically, a second subsidy is, going to be very valuable to sustaining what it is that these miners do, right?
Mm-hmm.
For people who are uninformed, what do miners do? Like, how are they responsible for like ensuring Bitcoin remains like the most immutable, the most tamper-proof, the most, the God chain essentially?
Yeah. So what miners do is today they acquire these ASICs, so application-specific integrated circuits, and the specific application that they're running is hashing, doing hashing of block data.
Yeah.
And so what happens is when you hash a block with another block, you have to find a value that the resultant hash gives you like 18 zeros at the very beginning.
Yeah. So they're basically crunching like
it's like
numbers nonstop.
Yeah, and they essentially have to brute force the nonce value. So basically, is it 1? No. Is it 2? No. And they keep going until they find a number that when injected to the latest block plus the previous block, when hashed together, the resultant hash gives you 18 or 20 zeros or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And so the more zeros at the beginning, the more difficult it is to find that number, because to string 18 zeros in a hash is just a very difficult thing to do.
So all that means is if you want some of this Bitcoin slurp, you need more computational power.
More power.
Basically. So that's all these miners are doing. That list of the leaderboard there, they're all just in a competitive race to aggregate as much computational power.
Correct.
Against each other, right? Because, the more you get, like Foundry, they obviously have probably state-of-the-art stuff.
Yeah.
Probably got billions of dollars in investment, I would imagine, over, to, I don't know, maybe even like innovate in the hardware space. Who knows? I don't know. Mm-hmm. There's like an intricate whole world around this industry that, we're going to try and learn more from, I think, next week.
That's right.
We're going to be interviewing a Bitcoin miner, right?
Yeah, I don't remember their name, but
well, you'll know pretty soon enough next week. Not this weekend, but next weekend. So we're gonna go as deep as we can to try and really like intricately understand, the operations of miners, so that we can better understand how NAT can, contribute to their operations ends.
Yeah, and so right now the market cap of this most interesting token in the world is 9 million market cap. That's up almost roughly like a 2x since like last week or something.
Yeah, before the redirect, I think it was like 4 to 5 million hovering around there. So it's good to see. Maybe this is evidence that, because before the minor redirect, these tokens were still being produced every block, but they were being essentially claimed or minted by like 1 or 2 actors, because it was an open claim process. You could outcompete other minters in the mempool with bots, right?
Yep.
That's what was happening. So theoretically, you run that simulation long enough, it's like that single actor is just constantly nuking the the floor valuation of the asset. So the fact that the price is going up, maybe definitely that has been stopped in its tracks. So this is the consequence of that, right?
Yeah. And we were talking about hashpower and how important it is to secure the network. Well, what's interesting about the NAT token, it has a specific property that is tied to Bitcoin, in that as hashpower increases, this numeric value, which is right here, the numeric value of the NAT token decreases.
Yeah, so that's the DMT aspect of it all. That's, to me, is what makes this the most interesting. Of course, the addition of like now supporting the Bitcoin network is important, but even before that, this was already like notably very interesting in its own right, because it's literally Bitcoin producing like a new asset class. Right?
Yeah.
And it's doing it through its own utilization of what is being produced every single block. It's that data substrate layer, right? Which up until now has never been really utilized.
Yeah.
And like you're saying, that string of information, it's dynamic. It changes every 2 weeks, typically. And therefore, that's what makes the token itself dynamic and, non-arbitrary, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's really interesting. Yeah. As these miners gear up for more power, that means that the number of NAT tokens being produced goes down. And so there's an interesting relationship that, as power increases, the number of NAT tokens decreases. Therefore, the supply rate of increase decreases. And so now you're talking about like an interesting dynamic that it's just natural, part of Bitcoin. So I hope you guys caught the natural part.
I did. I certainly did. I smirked a bit. I don't know if the camera caught that, but I was like, got him. Good one, dude.
All right, so moving on. Looking at Satoshi Sakamoto.
Great name.
He says everything down, but NAT is up.
Yeah, I noticed that. It's been a brutal week or two.
Yeah, we saw almost a $77,000 Bitcoin after being up 107.
Yeah, it like spiked up after the strategic reserve announcement initially, and it refilled the red wick.
It did.
And then like the next day, it just completely dumped again. It's been continually dumping ever since. And now that wick is refilled again. So as you can imagine, it's putting a lot of fear in the markets. And now on top of that, like even stocks are completely cratering. And there's a lot of fear, right? Fear is like at its max, I would say. But despite all that, NAT keeps chugging along, dude, which we like to see.
Yeah, so the Voice, the guys at the Voice, they were talking about the NAT token last week.
Yeah, we should play this just so.
Yeah, so let's listen up here. It's
good to see, like, outside understanding, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not just us talking about this stuff.
Correct.
So I think it's good for people to see this.
Yeah, so let me make sure the audio is okay. I should.
If I told you it was born on the same day, you're not going to believe this, Christine, whenever I tell you the story of the NAT token. If I told you it was born on the same day Bitcoin was born, first of all, what is your reaction when I say that? How do you think that's possible?
I'm like, how did we not know that?
How do we not know that?
Good question. Good question. Next,
she'll be speaking NAT speak soon.
If I say it is a non-arbitrary token, let me just explain that rather than ask you. Whenever you create a token, whenever you create Christine Coin or something like that, that's an arbitrary token, right? You've decided to make it. You've worked with a developer to release it. You've put it on pump.fun. That's an arbitrary token. This is a non-arbitrary token, so you will hear it called NAT, just N-A-T. You're not going to believe this, Chris.
Very well simply put, dude.
Yeah.
Like, we need more of that, because
we definitely do.
I don't think we know how to simply put things, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you asked me to explain that, and I went through this like whole history.
I was expecting a 40-second response. You went like too deep, dude. But what are we supposed to do?
Yeah.
So yeah, that explains it. pretty, I think, seamlessly. Like we've got two like optional pathways when it comes to like digital creation, right? There's the arbitrary path, which we've been on for 15 years or so.
Mm-hmm.
Now this is the NAT represents the introduction of a non-arbitrary token genesis pathway.
That's right.
Which leverages all the innate properties of Bitcoin that make it so valuable, right? And here's the Git book for DMT itself. It kind of outlines this framework.
Yeah, and so here's that timeline that we were talking about, right? Bitcoin, Ethereum, all these other cryptocurrencies, they've all been completely arbitrary, and so there was a fork in the road.
It began with ordinals, really.
Began with ordinals as rare sats, bitmap, right? These are essentially like discoveries from the Bitcoin ecosystem.
Yeah, these are like time points where we started utilizing like block data for some additional value production, right? Like ordinals literally uses the chronological ordering of Satoshis.
Correct.
You know, that's very valuable. That's what got us down this pathway.
Yeah.
To like really refining what is the value add Bitcoin brings into like the digital space beyond just its underlying, Bitcoin value, right?
That's right.
There's a deeper layer of value that people are not really aware of.
That's right. And that deeper layer was encapsulated in a framework called digital matter theory.
Yeah.
And that came after bitmap. And so now as a creator, as a developer, as a user of blockchains, like you have to decide, like, am I going to launch an arbitrary token or a non-arbitrary token? So now there's two options.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. So guys, go ahead and run through this. It's got all the stuff, but yeah, this is a non-arbitrary token framework. This is what was leveraged to produce NAT.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, shout out to Tap and Track Protocol for basically being the first infrastructure provider to bring this to life. Right?
Yeah, to realize it.
Yeah.
All right, another one here, Natoshi Sakamoto. He says, NAT, the diamond in the rough, and he's quote tweeting Grok. So what is Grok saying? It says, when Bitcoin block height hits 885588, which is the block where we directed the NAT tokens to the miners for the first time, expect a shift for DMT NAT. And so that is the ticker of the NAT token, DMT NAT. Selling pressure on NAT may ease as miners adjust to a new block dynamics, potentially boosting its value. The ties to digital matter theory's use of block data for non-arbitrary tokens like NAT, which could see increased stability and growth. Keeping an eye on the market reactions, price movements often signal the real story.
Interesting. So, yeah, I mean, we're definitely noticing some
Thank you, Elon,
movements. For that. Elon?
Yeah.
For building Grok? Yeah. I mean, Grok is definitely becoming way more popular these days.
Yeah, which we're going to talk about in our next video.
Well,
or no, we were talked about in a previous video.
Yeah, you just totally fumbled you just unveiled our scheduling ruse.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were recording multiple videos same day. So what, guys?
Yeah.
We're busy over here.
All right, moving on. We got Tap Protocol, block 885588 will forever known as the moment Bitcoin became a multi-subsidy chain. Miners are now receiving DMT NAT alongside their standard Bitcoin rewards per block, the power of digital matter on Tap Protocol. And Tap Protocol has developed several videos. This is a really short one. But one explains DMT, another one explains the NAT redirect.
Yeah, this one's kind of a little creepy in the beginning there, but it gave me like Apple vibes from that 1984. That's like, let's not make 1984 the way. I fucking butchered the hell.
That's
out
pretty
of
much
it.
Yeah,
it's like let's not do that.
Yeah,
basically. So buy Macintosh. All right. What a hell of a marketing campaign.
And it worked.
Yeah. So yeah, it's 885588 is behind us. So yeah, everything's chugging along swimmingly. But yeah, now this thing is okay. So how do we acquire NAT?
Yeah. How do we get it more accessible?
Yeah, that's really the big issue and the big task at hand, right? So Ordinal's wallet is like the prevailing destination for that. Has been since like the origin for more than a year now. But there's other platforms here. Upping the support. Yeah,
so the reason why this is challenging is because the NAT token is a free and fair mint, no VC, no team tokens, and is completely distributed to today 23,000 holders.
Yep.
And so it makes it difficult to like use a DEX because it needs to be provisioned with liquidity, and so you got to coordinate the community to provide that liquidity. There's just no other way to do it besides that. And so SATX is contributing. So NAT has been moved to the top of the list. Satis is dedicated to providing the ultimate trading experience. Got questions or suggestions? Join our Discord. And so here we are with the NAT token at the top of the list.
Yeah, it's good to see more like support for NAT across the board within the Bitcoin ecosystem. So, yeah, like you said, the DEX environment's important. That's why a lot of concentration and focus is on Taproot swap. So, hopefully within the next week or two, we'll have some announcements of additional liquidity being injected to support, the on-chain swapping end of the token. But yeah, that's going to need significant liquidity contributions to get it to a usable enough state that's like that fulfills all demographics, right? Because for the token to have like true market velocity, people need to be able to clip in and out tens, 20, 30,000 at a time.
That's right.
Without like disrupting, the market price too much.
Yeah, not too much slippage.
Yeah, or like nuking their own bags, stuff like that, right? So that is the major like next frontline dilemma, I guess, to be solved.
Yeah, so if you're a NAT holder, please follow this account, NatGMI. It's at NatGMI, and it'll have a link to NatGMI's website. And most importantly, join the Telegram as well. So that's also part of the this Twitter handle here. And if you guys click on this image, there's a nice Easter egg if you want to look at that.
Of course.
And all the links will be in the description. And here's the Telegram link. Yeah. And we're trying to grow the community here.
There's like 200, 300 people in there already, which is pretty cool. And it's very active. I see you guys in there, like commenting and like coming up with like your own individual game plans of how to contribute, which is exactly what we need to see.
That's right. Yeah.
Everybody can contribute some way or fashion, whether you're like a good writer, blogger, whatever.
Yep.
You're a good meme generator. You're a good jipper.
Video content creator.
Yeah. There's all kinds of things. And of course, if you know miners, send them our way. Yes. We would like to talk to them.
Absolutely.
And better understand again, like how their industry operates. So again, we could more align the NAT token to their needs.
That's right.
Through whatever means, right? So, yeah, I mean, we're going to be working on that anyways, but if you could resource like additional contacts, that's very welcomed.
Right? Yeah. So again, I appreciate you guys for kind of watching this video. And if you are part of the NAT ecosystem and a NAT holder, definitely join the Telegram here. And let's coordinate this effort, because this is a mission coin of all mission coins. I don't think there's anything more interesting than what is happening right in front of your eyes.
Yeah, let's get Michael Saylor to start tweeting about NAT.
Yeah, so he's mentioned digital matter, right? So it's not too much of a stretch, really.
Yeah.
All right, guys, appreciate it. All the links will be in the description, and we will catch you in the next video.
Peace.